Good evening, everyone. Welcome to KL 101 by Team InfoSec. We hope to provide a basic intro to Linux terminal, shell, and commands. This session would be a good start for beginners trying to learn Linux Ubuntu commands. Next slide, please, Moria. The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. The next slide, please. So, what is Linux and why exactly do we need it? Linux is an open source operating system. It is very stable and not prone to crashes. It also comes pre-installed with softwares and tools for hackers. If you want to make a career in cybersecurity, Linux is a must. What is the difference between Linux, Kali, and Ubuntu? Linux is a Unix-like, open source, and community-developed operating system for computers, servers. Kali Linux is basically a Linux distribution based on Debian. Its main motive is advanced penetration testing along with security auditing. This consists of numerous tools that are meant to protect and ensure information safety. Ubuntu, on the other hand, is once again a Debian based open source Linux distribution considered as a suitable Linux based distribution for beginners. The main target for this is actually personal computers, but it can also be used for cybersec purposes. But you will need to install the tools separately. Maurya, I will hand it over to you now.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Kushi. Uh, so now we will be discussing about the interface of the Linux terminal. So now this is the Linux desktop that you are seeing. Here we get two, three options in the about taskbar. The first is the start menu, in which there has all the applications and uh, it has all the applications and the tools that are used for penetration testing and much more stuff. The tools are well segregated on the basis of their works and categories. You can see them all here. Then here there is a file manager, and finally we will be having this our workspace, that is the terminal. Yeah, so this is the Linux terminal that we will be using a lot in the further sessions too. First of all, I will be showing you some shortcut keys that are required while doing some works in Linux. This is the list of shortcut keys that we will be looking at. So the first shortcut key is to open the terminal. We will be using Control Alt T. You can see that a terminal has been opened. The second is Control Shift T uh, to make a new tab in the terminal itself. You can see here that the two tabs of the terminals have been created. Now to close the terminal, we will be using Control Shift W. You can see that one of the terminal has been closed. Let's just say if you write something in the terminal and execute it. Now we want to clear the terminal. There are two ways. Either you can type clear, or there is one more way, that is press Ctrl L. The terminal is cleared. Now if the text is too small to see, then you can enlarge the text by Ctrl Shift plus. You can see that the terminal text has been increased, and to reduce it's obvious, Control Shift minus. uh, just a sec. Yeah. So now next it will be to stop a running process. For that we will be using Control C. Let's just say I write this 8.2. The command, don't worry about the commands, that will be taught further in the session itself. Now I'm showing you the shortcut keys. So yeah, so this command has been executed. To stop it, we use Control C. The command has been stopped in middle. You can see that, and the full command is the full execution of the command. You will see that this is the full execution of the command, but here due to Control C it has been stopped in the middle. Now if I just type nm and press tab, it shows all the options of the commands that are needed that start with nm in this terminal. And if I want to run the previous command again, I don't need to type that. Just press the up arrow key. It automatically copies the command and executes it. So these are the types of shortcut keys that will be we using. I will share the slides with you all so that you can take a further look at that. Now, I will be handing it over to Somesh for the directory control commands.
Thank you, Maurya. So now we'll be starting with the next command. Like the first command is pwd. And if I just want to say what is the full form of pw, it is present working directory. So in this directory means actually the folders. So in Windows you have been familiar with the term folders, but here the another term for that folder is directory. So to check which is the current working directory, we would take pwd, and yes, it gives me the exact location in which directory I'm present now. Now, for the next thing is CD, which is the short form of change directory. So if I type CD, then I have to specify in which directory I would like to go. There are few directories, folder 1, folder 2, and I have to decide in which directory I would like to go. So if I type folder 1, now have been come inside the folder 1. So if I try to open the folder 1, you could see these are the folders which are present in my folder 1. So now if I would check what are all the elements that are present in my folder 1, I would just type ls and would give information about all the folders that is present in my folder 1. As you can see, there is folder 1.1 and folder 1.2, which is similar as it is pointed here. Now, if I would like to go back to the parent folder, that is, if I want to go back from folder 1 to my Linux session folder, I would just type cd then dot dot. Now came back to my previous folder, and if I just press ls actually gives you the list of all the folders and all the files that are present in my working directory, that is actually there in my present working directory or the folder currently I am working on. If I just press ls, so see this folder 1, folder 2, and the other two files that are file.txt and infinite.py. Now, if I just want to create a new directory on a new folder, I would just type mkdir. That is the short form of me directory and the name of the directory which I would like to create. So if I want to create a directory named Somesh, I would just type mkdir and then Somesh, and see a new directory has been created in my folder Linux session. Now, if I just want to remove this directory, I would just type rmdir Somesh, and you can see that the folder has been removed from my uh, the PC. But if remember one thing, that if you want to delete a directory which is consists of internal directories as well, that if a directory consists of various directories inside, then it will not the rmdir will cannot delete the directory. So if I just try to delete folder 1, it is just not allowing me. Why? Because there are a lot of folders inside that folder, and RMDIR only works if that folder is particularly empty. Now I would like to call Anish to explain you about the other editors. Anish?
Yeah, thanks, Somesh. So, we have folders and files in our computer. So, we would sometimes need to edit some files. So, to edit some file, like a text file, we will use editors, and these editors are built into the terminal, can be accessed from the terminal. So, some of them I will go through now. Let me first list all the files and folders in the directory. You can see this white color text is the name of a file. We can edit that using pico new.txt. Now I've opened the file. Look, it had this contents originally. If I want to add something, I can add it by typing I from pico editor. So to save this file, I'll press Ctrl X to exit, Y to save it, and then if I don't want to make any changes to the name, I'll just press enter. Now you can see I've come back to the terminal. Let me just show you the contents of the file now. As you can see, hi from Pico editor was added to the file, so it was saved. Similarly, we have nano. This is similar to Pico. It is the newer version of Pico. Let me just type hi from nano. Control X to exit, Y to save, and enter if I don't want to change it. Cat new.txt. You can see hi from nano was saved. Let's go on to VI editor. New.txt. So VI is much different than Pico and Nano because when you first open up the file, you will not be able to type anything. So to go start typing, you need to go into insert mode by pressing I. So now I pressed I, and you can see in the bottom it says insert. So now I can type I from uh, VI editor and press escape to go back to the original mode. It's called normal mode. And to save and quit, we will press colon WQ. So this will save the file and bring us back to the terminal. You can check the contents using cat new.txt. You can see hi from VI editor was added. So all these three Pico, Nano, and VI will be present by default in your Ubuntu or Linux system. So, but there I will go through two more which I have. So the next one is Vim editor. Vim you would have to download it separately using this command sudo apt install Vim. If I press enter, it will ask for my password and it will try downloading. I had already downloaded it, so it ended really quickly. It knew I had it. So now I'll just open up the file using vim new dot text. You can see it's similar to VI. It's the same almost. Vim is the newer version, I would say. I from Vim editor. Back to normal mode from insert mode and colon WQ to save and quit. Cat new.txt. You can see hi from Vim editor. Now the most popular editor we use is VS Code. Um, so if you have downloaded VS Code or on your PC, and if you want to open any file using VS Code from the terminal, you can just press code. This works on Windows also if you go into the Windows terminal. So code new.txt will open up VS Code, and now you can type um, hi from VS Code. Control S to save, and you can just quit. Come back to check if we have catnew.txt hi from VS Code was saved. So that were the editors. Now the next part is we would have to some command. I will go through some commands which we use to handle these files, work with these files. So I have shown some already, like ls. Ls will list all the files in a folder. Like this folder, the present working directory is desktop. So I have two directories and one file. Now the next command is cat. So I had shown cat. Cat basically displays the contents of a file. Now I had shown this for each editor. It does what you see. It will just display the contents of the file in the terminal. You don't need to open it. Now The next command is suppose you want to copy this file to another location. So we have a command for that called copy cp new.txt, which is our file name, and the location. So if I want to go into demo, first I'll put dot, which is the current directory or the current folder, slash demo. So this will copy new.txt into the demo directory which was present in desktop already. So let me just go to dem list. You can see new.txt is copied here. Now there is also a command to move a file from to a different location, to a different folder, that is mv. So suppose I want to move new to.txt back to desktop. What I'll do is mv new to.txt dot, which means a directory or a folder behind demo, basically the parent directory which is desktop. Now if I see new2 is gone and it has been moved to back to desktop, you can see new2 over here. So that was move. Now there are some more commands like exit. So for exit I would what exit does is, if I press this, I will close the terminal or any given process. Currently I'm presenting, so I don't want to close the terminal. Another thing is, if you have secured shell into a server, so 2220, I know a server, so I will just quickly log into it from my PC. Bandit labs dot over the wire dot org. It will ask me for the password, so let me just press exit. I have exited from the server. Now I'm on my desktop. You can see I was logged out. Connection to Bandit Labs was closed. Now another interesting command is grep. So suppose you want to find a alphabet or any word inside files, you can use grep. So I want to find the, if file have the alphabet, if these files new2 and new have the alphabet a in them, I'll use grep a new.txt, and another file new2.txt. You can put as many files as you want. It should be, there should be at least one. So now you can see in the terminal it is showing wherever the alphabet A is occurring in these files. So if you want to find some word or something in a set of files, you can use this. It will show you in which file it is located. So I guess that was it from my side. Um, I would like to hand it over to Moria.
Thank you, Anish. Yeah, so let me just share my screen. So now we will be seeing how to run programs directly in a terminal. Here I have created a folder KL101. In that I have a PyScript. Now what I will do is I will open a terminal here directly in this folder so that I don't need to import the file path every time. Yeah, so in that, first of all, when you run a file, you need to give the executable permission to the file. So I will give that using chmod 777 and PyScript. We use 777 because the first 7 is for the user, second 7 is for the group, and third 7 is for the everyone who has the access to file. And we use 7 because it is the highest permission level. It gives the file the permission anyone to read, to edit, and to execute the file. So now the file is readable, editable, and executable. So now to run the file, I will use dot slash file name. Here I have made a Python. I have created a Python file uh, which will give my system version and the date now. So you can see that uh, I have successfully run the program here. Now let's just say if I have created one text file also here. Now if I want to see uh, some word in this particular text file in this folder, so to find that, what I will do is I will use find slash pipe operator. Then I will use grep. Let's just say I want to find the version. I want to find the word session if it is present in the text file or not. So I will write the word. Then I will give the file name. As Anish told, we can give one file name or multiple file names. Now it will show in the file. Show in this that the word has been appeared where and how many times. So this is a pipe operator which links the first command to the second command. So in this operator, it should be noted that the first command should be executable as well as the second command should be executable. Now we will be doing some jobs and processes command here. Let's just say if we want to echo an output in the terminal, uh, so we will write echo. Let's just say I want to echo the word hello. So what it will do is it will give the it will show the output in the terminal itself. Now if I want to save this output in a particular file, what I will do is I will write echo hello, and then I will give this operator and give the file name. I will have created a file name output.txt. So here I will give it there. Yeah. So now you may see that when I do cat output.txt, here it shows the word hello. Now if I do echo hello 1 and again type this output.txt, here you can now see that I will here now the new output hasn't been appended to the previous output. The whole file has directly changed from the old output to the new output. But if we want to append the output each time, what we will do is we will write echo. Let's just say if I want to run this new script program and take that output and save it, so I will run echo python 3 new script dot py, and then I will give this operator, and then I will write output dot txt. Yeah. So now if I do cat output dot txt, you can see that both the outputs have been given here. Here, here the python 3 dot pxy has been added here in this file, and the hello one has been also added. Just to say, yeah, I got it. There was some mistake in here. Rather than this, if I would have done this and output dot txt, yeah, and if I do now output dot txt, then if do then and then if I write here, let's just say, yeah, you can see both the outputs. The file has been executed and the output has been saved in here in this file. Now if I want to run two commands simultaneously, what I will do is echo hello and this operator and echo hi. If both the commands are executable, then this operator will run. If but what if there is an error in the one of the commands? Then we use let's just say if this is a random command, a random thing, and if we use this operator, irrespective of the other command, the command which is right will be run. Here you can see that the first command is wrong, so it only runs the second command. Now I will hand it over to Somesh for the further processes and jobs and processes command.
Thank you, Maurya. Let me present my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Somesh.
Yeah. Thank you, Anish. So for the next thing we are going to learn about is the jobs. And what is jobs? Jobs are actually the processes that are running behind in your background. So if you just first, when you first type the jobs, it will show nothing. Why? Because there is no process that is actually running behind in the background at this point of time. And then, so I will just try to create a process that will actually run in my background. So I will type Steve and this 10. So what this actually does is actually make a terminal sleep for 10 seconds, but at the same point of time, I'm giving this and symbol, so it's just asking the user to give another command. So when I type enter, I have created one job, and that could make my terminal make a pause. So when I type jobs, yeah, you can see it is showing that one job is running in my background. Now, if I move to the next, which is PS, which is a short form of process status, it actually lists the processes which are currently running, and it also specifies the IDs. If I just type yes, so these are the current processes that are running in my PC, and if I type PS means AUX, it will give all the processes that currently running in my computer. Now for the next is command top, TOP. The top actually specifies that what all are the programs that are running and what all the resources are used by those programs. So if I just type top, you can see these are my programs running. Let me just expand my screen. Yeah, see, these are my commands running. These are the PID, and this is the CPU, that CPU percentage that the resources they are using. Uh, okay, now let me try to give you a more example. And if you want to just quit from this process, you just have to press Control Z. So you're currently out of your that command. Now, if I just want to, if you just want to read a big document, let me take, I want to read this file.txt. So if I would type cat.file.txt, wait, sorry. Yeah, when I type cat, yeah, see, the whole content has been published into my terminal, but I don't want that. I want to read the content one by one. So the two common commands used for this process are more or less. Firstly, we will be looking at the less command, less file.txt. I will specify the file name that I want to read. And when I press enter, that it will only show me the contents one by one. And as you can see, I can easily go up and down as I am viewing the file. And it actually also opens this new file on like a new tab. And it actually not just prints all the content on my terminal. And if I want to go out, just press colon and Q. You're out of that text. Now, if I want to, there's another command known as more. So to read that same file, I will type more file.txt. If I just click them, it also shows me the file one by one. But the problem is that it does not allow me to move up or down. Like what I could achieve in that less command. Since it was opening a new tab, I could actually move up and down, or could actually move the contents up and like by viewing up and down. And it also publish all my contents on the main terminal rather going on a new tab. Now for the next command, which is skill. I want to show you some process. If I yeah, if I try to run this file, which is an infinite loop, so I would type infinite dot. I think I yes. So if I just run this file, this would be more commonly encountered in your when you're trying to code. So if you just want to get out of this situation, you could just press Control Z, and you will be out of that situation. But there is another process, another situation, that if you're opening a Sublime text, I'm running on a Sublime text, and then I'm running on this control D. Now I cannot use this Control Z, as it will create a problem for me. So for this time, what I will do, I will click on top, and as you can see, there will be a Python process. I will just expand my screen. Yes, this is the Python process, which is causing a lot of problem for me. And what is the process ID for it? 12547. So what I would now do, I would first exit this command and then type kill 12547. You just have to wait until this actually the program gets stopped. Yeah, as you can see, my program, which was an infinite loop, has stopped now. Now I will tell you another command, which is kill -9. Then you can also use this kill -9 in place of kill command, but there's a difference in both these commands. Actually, when you ask any program to just turn it off or just abruptly end itself, that that software could actually accept your confirm could accept to shut it off, or it will shut it off. Or but if you take kill -9, it will forcefully or compulsory the program have to shut him off. I just typed the wrong command at that time. It was not rmdir minus r, it was rmdir minus p. So I had to delete a directory because yeah. So just currently I'm at this point of time. So firstly I would do the clear command. Now, as I was saying, that if I want to delete this folder one, which was which I was not able to do at that point of time, yeah, it was showing this problem. Now we'll type rmdir minus p, and then if I type folder one, sorry, okay, it requires an empty folder, the empty files, and yeah, you can have able to delete the another folder. And if there was another command, that is ls -n, which actually tells you about all the permissions of that file. I think we did not cover this. And since the first determines the whether it is a directory or the file, and as the Moira was saying, this was RWX. This is for the user, this is for the group, and this is for the outside. So in this, the first depends read, second tells about write, and third tells about the which is execute, whether it file can be executed or not. Yeah, with the touch command, you can actually create a new file, which I have created here. And if I just want to type anything in that particular file, I could just use a nano, and then I could, if I just type anything, I could just replace it. I could just exit and type. If you want to abruptly stop any process, just press Control Z.
Okay, then, yeah. So let me share the screen. So now we will be looking at the others command. In the other command, there are two. Mainly, we will be looking at the man. What a man does is, if you type man and any of the commands that you want to learn, it gives the full information along with the flags for that command. This is particularly used because we don't know actually the flags, and they're used for various commands. But there is no need to learn that too. Just type man and the name of the command that you want to learn. You will get the whole info along with the flag. And if you want to exit it, just press Q, and it is and you got back to the terminal. The second is the help command. It's the same as man. Just type any command and dash dash help. It also gives the flags for the command along with the description that you want. Here I have typed nmap.help. You can see that it gives the flags and what does the flags scan in a particular in a particular IP or a domain. Next, we will be seeing about password. This command is used to change the password. I will type password. It asks for change current password. Now I will type my current password here, and it asks for new password. So I have changed my password successfully. Yeah. So if I want to change the password, I will. You cannot write the same password again in the new password. Just a sec. Hmm. Yep. I guess just a sec. So password. Hmm. So now I have typed my current password in here. Now I will type the new password that I want, and then yeah, they ask for retype new password. Sorry, I guess there is some typing error in my PC, but but you can change the passwords with this command. Then we will be seeing the software version. Let's just say if I want to check my Python version, what I will do is type the software that you want, that whose version you want to check, and then type this command. You will see that it shows the version of the file. Now this is useful because some Python files require 2.7, whereas our Python is 3.9.2. So this is useful at that circumstances. Then we will be seeing that the who am I command. Who am I command is basically used to check the user, which user we are using on which currently now. So here you can see that it shows Moria at the rate Kali. So I am currently in the username is Moria here, and so that's all. I will likely forward it to Khushi to share it with you the resources.
Thank you so much, Maurya. So these are few resources we have compiled for you all. So I will highly recommend you all to watch the Cyber Mentor videos as they are extremely good for beginners. I will also emphasize the importance of doing Try Hack Me rooms. Not only will you learn Linux basics over there, you can also learn crypto, forensics, pen testing, OWASP, basically everything and anything cybersecurity. You can also show your Try Hack Me profile in interviews, and you can also share the link on your resume. This is a very, very good platform for beginners. Next slide, please, Maura. Lastly, thank you all for attending our session. Stay tuned for second chapter and tell us all what you will be expecting from us.